If you've got a laser cutter or engraver, you have to ventilate it. So first of all, you don't want all that nasty smoke and fumes in your house. So the first thing you have to do is get some kind of enclosure. I built this one out of some apparently moldy particle board that I had laying around. I'm gonna clean it up and paint it eventually. Nothing crazy. This is the door. I gotta put a hinge on it and kind of finish this up. But I wanted to show you the ventilation. So I have a wall mounted fan. So this is the fan unit right here. I'll have a link for it in the description below. I mean, this unit is nothing special. You know, I'll link a couple of different options. Then you need some flexible ducting. So this is 6-inch, which matches the size of my fan. That's kind of gonna be what determines the size of the ducting you need. And then you need some sort of exterior exhaust hood. So this gets mounted on the outside of your house. It's pointed down. It has a damper. So you can see the damper in there. So by default, the damper is going to be closed. When the air is pushing in here, the damper will open up, but it's not going to let any backdraft. And the fan has a double damper built in as well. So it's just spring loaded and will close automatically. Now, where do you mount this? So I live in an old house. One option was going to be to pull one of the glass panes out of one of these windows because the glazing on the other side is like pretty bad. But I was thinking about it some more, and that's like the front of my house. So I really don't want to have like an exhaust vent just for looks sticking out of the front of my house. So I've got this other option, which this was supposed to be like a temporary thing I did here. So I had like a temporary outlet for my RV, and then I did a temporary plug for my generator, and now it looks like I'll do a temporary ducting for my laser cutter. So it's basically turning into like a permanent crappy installation. So literally I just have the window open here and I just put a scrap piece of plywood in there. But these things can be wall mounted as well. You just have to make sure that it's sealed appropriately against your siding. If I were to do it, I would put a solid block. I would actually cut out the siding, put in a solid block for this to go against with a drip cap to make sure that it's all flashed properly. All right, so I realized that it really doesn't make sense to have the laser over here because if I'm not using this window, I might as well move the whole thing over here so I can throw my exhaust right through that plywood. So I've moved the whole thing over here, but now the problem is my exhaust fan is going right into my chimney. So I think I'm gonna relocate the exhaust right to the back here. That way, it's still kind of tight here, but I think I can make the turn and go right up to here. So I'll have to just block that up with something. So definitely pays to have some proper planning instead of just kind of winging it. But, sometimes you just got to wing it. All right, got the drill, got to get tape measure. Tape measure, square probably help. Jigsaw. Maybe I can throw a screen on here or something and make this like an intake. Man, this thing is moldy. Definitely gotta paint this. Clean it up and paint it so it's not looking so ragged. All right, so I'll go right in the middle here. Leave like 1/4 inch around everything. One thing I noticed when I cut the first hole was the plug was in the way. You can't just cut a full 6-inch circle. You have to cut a little notch for the cord to slip through as well. And you want to make sure that the pin is vertical like this, otherwise the dampers will just kind of stay open. So it's got to be mounted this way. All right, so I got to mount this up there. So basically I got to measure this, which is 6 inches. I want to give it a little bit extra all the way around, because if you think about, you know, this is actually 8.5, so it's gonna cover whatever hole I cut, but we wanna make sure there's enough to get some silicone on the outside here. So we'll just go 6.5. So we got a 1/4 inch all the way around. So if you've got a pair of these, I can't remember what these are called. Compass, calipers, no. What the heck are these called? I don't remember. You know, it's funny. I've lost literally all of the adjustment things on here. The screws have just come loose from being in my toolbox, jumping around in the truck. I have to use a little wood shim to perfectly get this pencil in place, and I'm almost out of pencil. All right, so 6.5. So we just split the difference. Wow, look at that, right on the money. 3 1/4. All right, so I want this to be kind of as high as I can get it without being ridiculous. I don't want it to interfere with this window, obviously, but you want it high because it dumps out the bottom here, so you want to have clearance outside for the fumes to escape. So let's go 3 inches down. So 3 inches down. Fun fact, MSD hauling was my very first business. I was hauling junk when I was in high school. And this is actually, I built these plywood sides for my truck, which you can kind of see represented here. And yeah, I would haul people's junk, but that didn't last long because I realized people didn't really want to pay very much to have their prized junk brought to the dump. Kind of double check that. That looks about right. One more check, so I'm just lining it up just for a visual check. I did already check this outside. We look pretty much clear. All right, so we'll drill a pilot hole and then grab the jigsaw. This is going to be tricky. Can't get the jigsaw turned around in there. All right, so that worked. Not as bad as I thought. All right, so here's what we got outside here. Definitely need to get some paint on this thing and insulate it. It's like not even insulated on the inside. It's ridiculous. 100-something-year-old house, so that's kind of what you get. So we're gonna slide this right in, but I want to get some silicone around here. I'm gonna leave the bottom uncaulked. That way, if moisture does get in there, it has a place to get out. Hopefully the silicone's still good. It's not fresh. You ever notice silicone kind of smells like salt and vinegar chips? So I'm gonna do a nice thick bead all the way around. Stop it right at the bottom there. We'll get one screw. Grab the level. Oh, that's nice, it's magnetic. So apparently this isn't aluminum. Yeah, apparently this isn't aluminum. It's steel, so it'll start to rust. So that's cool. All right, so that's pretty much it on the outside. So now I just got to get the enclosure finished up. All right, so here's the flex duct. So it's basically like a wire wrapped around like an aluminum. You need some kind of snips to cut the wire and a regular utility knife to just cut the aluminum around. So to get it started, you just kind of open it up and you should be able to slip it right over the duct that's coming out from our exterior fitting. You want to be careful not to tear the aluminum because it is pretty fragile, pretty easy to rip. All right, so once you get it worked on there a few inches, so the pipe's coming out to about here, you want to get some duct tape. I'm talking about like real duct tape. It's almost like an aluminum tape, not that stuff that you use to, like, you know, fix things that are broken. So you're gonna wrap this around the pipe a few times and, you know, bond it to the metal pipe. All right, then you want to wrap a pipe clamp around the whole thing, tighten it down. I forgot to pick some up. I just wanted to show you what they look like. And again, I'll have links in the description for all of this stuff. So I'll just have to order a couple pipe clamps for my next Amazon order and I'll be good to go. So now I just want to like open this up and figure out the exact length I need in order to make this connection here. I think I'm gonna move this entire thing away from the wall a little more so it's not such a tight turn. All right, so pretty much figured out, I think I'm gonna cut it like right here. So you just make the cut on the wire. Use the razor knife to cut that. And there we go. So now I just gotta pop this on here, tape it up, get a pipe clamp eventually, and the ducting will be complete. All right, so I got the ducting taped up right here. There's one thing I noticed, the baffle on the fan itself. So there's a baffle in there and it's actually hitting, because I'm using flex duct, it's actually hitting the sides of the ducting. So it doesn't close all the way. It actually wasn't even opening at first, but so let me turn on the fan. So we got it on high right now. So it does, the baffle does open up. I don't know, I'm thinking what I'll do is replace, get like a rigid elbow, a rigid 90-degree elbow, and connect the flex duct to the rigid elbow. Probably be a good idea to do it up here too, that way I don't have the stress right here at this corner. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But I notice even with this open hole right here, so I've got a few holes drilled here, you gotta make sure you have some intake, you know, otherwise you're just kind of creating a vacuum. So originally I had the idea of, you know, just having these holes here for the intake, and that was when I was gonna have the exhaust over here. But I can actually feel the negative pressure. You know, it's definitely pulling air from here, and on this side, all these holes are pulling air as well. So I think this is gonna work out just fine. I'm not sure if I'm gonna cover that one up or not. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully picked up a few tips or ideas on how to vent your laser enclosure. So this enclosure I built for my new X tool. They sent this to me to review. So if you want to see more videos of me playing around with this laser and cutting and engraving some different projects, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.